Hi everybody, my name is Brady and I am a 19th century American historian, and we are back with another React video, and today we're going to be doing more salmonella. This video kind of slipped under my radar, I don't know how, but it's called Historical Misconceptions for You to Bring Up During Family Dinner, which sounds like a terrible idea, but I love historical misconceptions. Not like that they exist, but I like learning about them and how they get around. Somebody learns something, they take it for granted, take the wrong person's word for it, spread around the idea. Typically, there's some really smart people at fault. Usually it's like a really smart guy who's really authoritative on something. They give out this information, people trust him because he's a really smart guy. And I am guilty of this, and I'm not saying I'm a smart guy, but I'm saying it happens to smart people too. But yeah, this should be fun. I'm very excited to get started.
This episode of
It's a little
Salmonella
quiet.
Academy is brought to you by Skillshare. Hey kid. Yeah, you. I just got off the phone with the big man upstairs. He told me that I need to clear a few things up around here. So without further ado, here's 10 pieces of malarkey that you might still be spreading. Number 1. Nobody was ever burned to death at the Salem witch trials. Of the accused, 15 died in prison, 19 were hanged, and 1 was squished to death.
This is an interesting one. I don't know where the idea comes from. I have to learn a little bit more about this when I was in public school, of course. Salem's pretty close, though, to where I'm from. I'm not from Massachusetts, but they're right next door, basically. So, yeah. But it really depends, I'm sure, on where you come from. I'm sure different places in the country put different emphasis, and I know for a fact that they put different emphasis on different parts of history, and maybe that's why I know this one a little better. I think maybe the burning at the stake thing, maybe it's a product of something European. I feel like there was some burning at the stake. Yeah, there was plenty of burning at the stake going on in European history, and maybe that just passed over. Like maybe some wires got crossed along the way, and they ended up saying, "Oh, witch trials. People got burnt for being witches. Therefore, people at the witch trials got burnt for being witches." That sort of thing. And I can see how that could have totally happened.
The accused, 15 died in prison, 19 were hanged, and 1 was squished to death. That last one is way more interesting than any cremation, by the way. Dude was a badass. His name was Giles Corey. He was 81 years old and so done with the town of Salem's garbage that he wouldn't even dignify the trial with a plea. So the town stuck him between 2 boards and stacked rocks on top of him in an effort to draw out a confession. But every time they tried to get something out of him, all he would say was, "More weight." This went on for 3 solid days until he finally died, never giving any indication as to whether or not he was a witch. One can only wonder. Number 2.
I mean, if he was a witch, he probably would have been able to get out of there. I don't know. I've heard that his eyeballs popped out of his head, but I don't really know. It's been a while since I've read any of the good books on the topic. But it's a really interesting bit of history. These young girls just started accusing people willy-nilly of being witches, and then suddenly everybody's suffering. I don't know. They took the wrong people's word for it, I suppose.
2. The OG Buddha wasn't the obese guy. That's Budai, a Chinese folk character meant to represent Maitreya, aka future Buddha. Now this shirt is double sad. Number 3. Buddha was...
That's kind of funny. I didn't know what its actual name was, and I guess people casually refer to it as a Buddha or whatever, but okay. I got a word for it now. Budai, gotcha. Buddhism, I've said this in the past, but it's one of the religions, ways of life, whatever you want to call it, that I knew very little about when I started this channel. I've learned a little bit more, but I still consider myself deeply ignorant on the subject.
Wasn't a god either. He was just a guy named Gautama. Now this shirt is triple sad. Number 4. Ever heard of a vomitorium? Turns out, no. It's not a place where Roman nobles would go to make room for more pheasant spleen and lobster eyelids. It's just a big entranceway to the Colosseums that hordes of peasants would spew out of. Number 5.
Oh, that makes sense. I get that. Okay. Now, some of the... I didn't know that vomitorium thing, whatever the misconception about it, assuming this wasn't a joke and that people believe that there was a place where they just threw up to make room for more food. Like, I get the confusion, but I guess my limited exposure to Roman history, I guess it spared me that one.
Washington never cut down a cherry tree in his youth. I don't
Seriously?
get this one at all. Apparently it's supposed to paint the man in a good light somehow. It's like, Tyler, what the hell happened while we were gone? Where's the tree in the front yard? Oh yeah, that was me. Got bored. Just felt like vandalizing something, you know? Hey, what about my honest character? Number 6.
And that's kind of how the Washington story went. This came from this one guy who made up a whole bunch of BS stories about George Washington, and he's not alone. George Washington has become some sort of a historical deity to Americans. I don't know how we let that happen, but it happened, and the story goes that young George Washington cuts down the tree, and then when he's confronted about it, he's like, I can't tell a lie. I did it, and he owns up to it. And I guess that's the thing. Like, he did something wrong, but he owned up to it, and that was supposed to say something about his character. And that's what gave him this reputation as, like, this super honest dude. Totally fake story, and it's kind of funny that the this totally made up story is supposed to demonstrate like the moral of honesty. It's really funny, actually.
The pyramids weren't actually built by slaves. These workers were respected members of society. They ate meat and worked in 3-month shifts, and even got to be buried right next to the tomb after their death. Matter of fact, that's more than we can say for the people working on man's greatest achievements today. If I spent years of my life helping to build the space station, you're damn right I'd want the Salmonella Memorial Corpse Receptacle floating along right next to it. That would be amazing.
That's one that I've heard differing things on, and I've never looked into it in great depth. Egypt is far off my radar, I suppose, geographically and time period wise. So I guess I never, and I try not to take too much of what Sam says as gospel either, because he admittedly uses Wikipedia a lot, so, and sometimes his representation leans a little more in the realm of comedy, but that wasn't really funny. It wasn't really a joke there. So I don't know if there's anybody who actually knows about it. Were they slaves or were they not? I don't know. I'd hate to be like, this person says this, but I've heard other people who said that. I guess it's a wash, but I don't have the answer on that one.
7. The Great Wall of China is not the only man-made object visible from space. I don't know where you dipshits got this one from. First of all, there's no way you could see it with the unaided eye. The wall is like 30 meters thick at most, while the distance to outer space is generally recognized to be 100 kilometers up, known as the Kármán line. To give some perspective, that's like me holding up a standard-sized guitar pick from across the entire length of a football field and asking you what color it is. Also, there are plenty of man-made objects that are way bigger in terms of local surface area than the Great Wall, so even if it was visible, there's no way it would be the only one. Number 8, you might have heard this one before. You know, Hitler was a jerk and all, but hey, he made the Autobahn, so at least he was efficient. Actually, Hitler didn't create the Autobahn. It was already there. He just helped expand it into newer territory.
And this is one of those things, you don't want to make excuses for the guy. It's not like, It's weird because you want to recognize what people did and contributed to, and I think that's an important part of representing them accurately. But when you say it like Hitler was bad, but no, it doesn't have to be a but. You know, I guess that's semantics and framing, and I try not to jump on that too much because I've had that thrown in my direction plenty, and sometimes it's frustrating when I'm trying to make a point and people jump on every single word I try to make. But yeah, from what I'm aware, it was already worked on for a little while before that. I once made the mistake of thinking, somebody said this same thing, but they were like, but he made the Volkswagen, and I think the Volkswagen actually was totally Hitler, but I'm not sure. Like, he didn't make it, but you know what I'm saying. But I ended up mixing up his contributions to the Volkswagen with the Autobahn, which that was embarrassing for me because I'm supposed to know history and I made a really silly mistake there.
Similar vein, Mussolini didn't make the trains run on time, with most of Italy's infrastructure repairs happening before his rise to power in 1922, and even then they weren't nearly as punctual as he'd like you to believe. So unfortunately, you're gonna have to find something else to like about these fascists, like Hitler's elegant way of speaking, or the way Mussolini says spaghetti. Paschetti! Number 9, Iron Maidens weren't actual torture devices used in medieval times. Basically what happened is, some archaeologists in the 1800s saw an old metal coffin and some spikes, and said, yo, wouldn't it be wildin' if we put these things up in here, so that way if someone goes in it, they get poked in their bits? You are a sick man, Cornelius.
This is interesting. With all of these things, most of it historically has fallen outside of what I know because... like, we have the George Washington thing, and that kind of falls into what I know. But outside of that, a lot of this is new to me. Except I knew that the Iron Maiden thing, our understanding of it was not really on firm ground. I don't know much about, like, archaeologists coming in and, like, posing it to be something that it's not. I didn't know anything about that. But I did know that the Iron Maiden, like, our understanding of it was not exactly perfect, and that's not an amazing point to make. It's a very incomplete point, but I guess I kind of got this one. It's cool seeing the historical misconception things that I am more likely to believe or not. This is actually very exciting for me.
I like
Too bad
it.
it's almost over.
It goes. At least Iron Maiden was real. They were as real as it gets. Still are. And don't you forget it. Number 10.
Cool.
Einstein never failed math. He had mastered both integral and differential calculus by the age of 15. 99% chance this one was just made up to make glue eaters feel better about themselves. What?
Ooh. Yeah, but maybe that is. Maybe there was a teacher who had their student and they felt down on themselves. They're like, I can't do it, or whatever, and that was a motivational statement, and it just kind of caught on, right? Sometimes it's the silly things. It's kind of in the same vein of, and this one's not even a misconception. It was like Michael Jordan not making his high school basketball team or something like that. Assuming that's still true. I was under the impression that was true. But yeah, it's like that. You bring these great people down in order to motivate the young person to think like, hey, you can do this. However, this one was built on a lie, which that's kind of funny. It's kind of tragic at the same time, but it's kind of funny.
Well, congratulations, Dimitri. Looks like you failed pre-algebra for the 3rd time. Afraid you still can't graduate. Well, hey, that means I'm still on par with famous smart science man, so, yeah, worship me.
Or maybe it's an excuse, I don't know.
So it just goes to show that we've all got a lot to learn about the world around us. That's why you need to go to Skillshare.
So I'm going to watch through the ad because I kind of like the way he does ads. You can skip it on my video if you want, but you got to feel bad for it, okay? Promise? You're going to feel bad for it if you do it? Okay, gotcha.
Skillshare is an online learning community with over 20,000 classes in technology, design, business, and more. Premium membership gives you unlimited access to high-quality classes on must-know topics so you can improve your skills, unlock new opportunities, and do the work you love. They've got great courses in graphic design and animation, which I've clearly already mastered. I mean, check this out.
Dude.
But I'm sure you could get a lot of use out of them. You can also learn plenty of more recreational skills, like how to solve a Rubik's Cube, or how to play chess really well. Join the millions of students already learning on Skillshare today, with a special offer just for my viewers, where you can get 2 months of Skillshare completely free. To sign up, go to skl.sh/samo. Again, go to skl.sh/samo. to get 2 months of unlimited access to over 20,000 classes for free. Act now for this special offer and start learning today. Anyway, till next time, I'm Sam and Nella, and thank you for watching.
Thanks, dog. That was cool. Yeah, that's fun. I really think historical misconceptions are so interesting to learn about because you get taught things a certain way for so long, and then that next generation will go on to teach, and if something isn't corrected along the way, it just perpetuates misinformation. And I think it's very interesting to clear that stuff up. However, I don't get mad at historical misconceptions. I get them. It's a very easy thing to bump into. There's very subtle things often that can lead you to feel that way. And then there's the occasional cynical figure who decides they want to frame history in a way for not so pure reasons. Overall, I really liked that video. That was cool. If you have any other salmonella videos you want me to check out, any other history videos in general, let me know in the comment section below. Like this video if you like this video, and subscribe for more videos every day. And I will see you guys next time. Later.